Ladies and gentlemen, DSP here, and welcome to my review of a game that I waited 5 years to play. A game that I eagerly wanted to play. Because 5 years ago, there was a little game called State of Decay that came out of nowhere. I really didn't know too much about it. It was released around the summertime, a Microsoft Studios exclusive game. And at the time, we were just at the tail end of the zombie craze. We had games like Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, The Last of Us, and then State of Decay came out and basically took all that zombie survival gameplay and turned it into a really cool open world third party, like over the shoulder, third person simulator of what would it be like if you were in a zombie apocalypse. Admittedly, State of Decay 1 had a lot of problems, bugs and the like, things that people didn't like for example, if you didn't play the game for a while and you went back, it would say, oh, people's like morale is down because you didn't play the game and stuff would expire while you weren't playing. Really weird, and there was a lot of bugs too, but it's kind of what you would expect for an open world game. The game did have an interesting story, plus you could play as more of a sim if you wanted to do more like tower defense of your bases and stuff like that. Overall, the game was great. I really enjoyed it, and it was one of my favorite games of 2013. And so, finally, when we heard they were making State of Decay 2, the past couple E3s, we got information about this game. We're all getting hyped for it. 5 years in development. 5 freaking years in development. This Microsoft Studios exclusive game. So you're thinking, wow, 5 years, all the stuff they're going to add. I'm sure there's going to be tons of new enemies, new game mechanics. The graphics will be groundbreaking. The story now will probably be multi-arcing, going across several different regions and areas and groups. I can't believe, it could be like the Walking Dead virtual simulation game, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to tell you, State of Decay 2 is none of those things. State of Decay 2, sadly, seems like 5 wasted years to me. Why do I say that? Well, because the game itself has minimal improvements over the original, although there are a few things that are improved upon, which I will mention. For the most part, it feels almost exactly the same as the first game, albeit still with annoying bugs, and you're like, with 5 years, they couldn't figure out how to fix these silly bugs. And honestly, less content and less story than the original game. Yeah, as stupid as that sounds, 5 years in development, they actually put out a game with less than the original game. Alright, so let's get to the review. First of all, full disclosure here, the game itself, State of Decay 2, is only $30, United States denomination, half price of a full retail game. So from the get-go, you realize you're not getting as much content as you're going to get in a full retail game, okay? Fair enough. But you can also get the game as part of the new Microsoft Game Pass subscription service from Microsoft. Pay a flat fee, get all the Microsoft Studios games. Recently, games like Sea of Thieves were highlighted in this program, and so is State of Decay 2. So I have to think the vast majority of people who are going to get State of Decay 2 are probably just going to pay like the $8 for the monthly service and just get the game via that method, okay? That being said, just because a game is half price doesn't give it an excuse to have critical elements that make a game good, and or to have the same amount of content as the previous game 5 years ago that also was sold for $30. So what I mean by that is State of Decay 2 will open up with you choosing a group of survivors, a pair, either male and female who are romantically involved, brother and sister, or I believe it's two women who are also romantically involved, okay? You open up inside of a prison/military base, and you're running through trying to kill zombies and survive. By the end, your friend gets bitten and infected, and so you need to find a cure. You run into a security guard guy who says, I can help you. You got to go talk to the doctor. You run into a doctor. The doctor's like, well, we can help you, but we can't do it here because this place is overrun. Let's leave and go try to find a town locally where we can scavenge resources to try to help this person. So you leave the introductory area of the game, and you head out to one of 3 locations. There's a plateau, there's a valley, and there's a third one that honestly I don't remember because I didn't play on it. And all of these maps are exactly the same premise, but they just look different, okay? The premise is it's an open world map, and you drive in, your car breaks down, you have to find a place to make your new settlement, a base. And you have to fight off zombies that are coming at you while you do this with melee attacks. When you finally find the base, you settle there, and now you can start resource management, which is pretty much 95% of the gameplay of State of Decay 2. Resource management. Do we have enough food? Do we have enough medicine? Do we have enough ammo? Do we have enough crafting resources so that we can build more things on our base, including things to manufacture medicine or manufacture food, or have enough beds for settlers and stuff like that? And that's pretty much the whole purpose of the game, is to make sure your base always has enough of everything while you're answering distress calls from other survivors. Sometimes you'll run into a survivor and, oh, look, here's someone who's in trouble. Save them from zombies, they'll join you. Or maybe a survivor will say, I want to scavenge this house, and if you defend me from zombie hordes while I scavenge this house, I'll give you some critical resources as a reward, okay? There's basically two kinds of looting in the game. There's just looting regular items and putting them into your inventory, and then there's what's called rucksacks. Rucksacks are giant backpacks of which you can only carry one at a time, and they have tons of resources in them that you can put into your base, again, for things like crafting and the like, and upgrades. What you're going to ideally want to do is start scavenging on foot, grabbing any items you can, fighting off the hordes of zombies, and then eventually get a vehicle. Now, to get a vehicle, you need gas to power the vehicle, and also if the vehicle's damaged, you have to find a vehicle repair kit that, again, is just one of these random pieces of loot all around the place. So once you have a vehicle that works, now you're in business because the vehicles have a trunk and you can store multiple items or multiple rucksacks inside of the vehicle, so you could go on big looting runs, going from building to building, grabbing rucksacks, grabbing items, drive back to your base and unloading them, and there you go. Now also you can establish outposts. What outposts are areas you clear completely of zombies, and then once you have accrued enough influence, which is the currency of this game, you can buy an outpost, and that outpost will constantly generate a resource for you. Or it might add more beds so you can recruit more survivors and have more places for them to sleep. So it's a cool thing that you can basically expand your base with these outposts. In addition, as I mentioned with influence, very important. Influence is the currency of the game that you need to do everything. How do you get influence? Well, by killing zombies, by killing special zombies, of which there's multiple kinds, including ferals that are more like animals that you have to kill. Big bloated ones that if you shoot them, a plague comes out. You have to dodge the plague cloud or else you get sick and might die. Giant juggernaut zombies that are ginormous ones that are basically like the juggernaut. You know, much like the big muscle-roided zombies of Left 4 Dead. They're kind of the similar thing. So and there's screamers. Screamers that have no arms, but they are very loud. And if they scream, they attract hordes of zombies. So 4 special kinds of zombies in the game that when you kill them, you get bonus influence. You can also help survivors. By helping survivors, you gain influence, okay? Among various other things in the game. Basically, everything you do in the game eventually is going to gain you influence, and to influence you is the currency you use to upgrade, to buy items from other survivors via a trade or barter system, or to do basically everything that's necessary in the game. You also need to micromanage all of the survivors that you have at your base, including the fact that they get tired. And if they get tired, they have to sleep. If they don't sleep, they fall asleep out in the field and die because zombies will kill them. If they get injured, you need to have them rest at the base, or else they don't restore max stamina or max health, okay? Which makes them very weak out in the field. And amongst other things, there's other things that can happen. They can get angry because maybe you don't have enough food, and one guy's real angry, so you have to get more food, or else the guy will leave, okay? So it's constant micromanagement. Do I have enough resources? Are my settlers happy? Do I have enough outposts to bring in enough resources to keep everything going, okay? Now, while all this is going on, which pretty much is the entirety of the game, there is the semblance of a story, all right? So allow me to explain. While you are playing the game, what's going to happen is your characters are going to level up. And eventually your character's stats will start to level up. When your character's stat maxes, now you have the ability to upgrade that character in a specialization. Would you like them to be more stealthy, or would you like them to have much more stamina and be able to carry more items, for example? So you have to make these critical choices with your characters. Once they're leveled up enough, meaning they've got enough stat points in them from just doing combat, looting, and the like, they're going to become eligible to be promoted to be the leader of your group. Once you promote someone to a leader, your group now has a philosophy, and these philosophies are 4 different ones. I believe there's Warlord, which is more like just kill everyone, right? Kill everything that comes up against us, including other survivors. Sheriff, which is more like justice, try to do the right thing, be a moral, kind of moral compass. Trader, which is more about just making money and being the creator or the controller of all the resources in the land. There's a 4th one that honestly I don't even remember. So there's 4 different philosophies that could be part of your group based on who you promote as your leader. Different survivors by default have these philosophies. There's nothing you can do about it. Once you promote someone to a leader, not only are you going to be doing primarily the resource management and making sure you have outposts and keep everyone happy, but now you're also going to be trying to do missions based off of that leader's philosophy. And for my run, my singular run that I did of this game, I picked Warlord, which meant, warlike, go out there, kill everyone who opposes us, even though we help people at times. Sometimes we're suspicious of people and we end up killing other survivors. So it ended up being pretty tough because a lot of the times I go into a mission not expecting it was going to become a fight against survivors, and now the survivors are shooting me. And I should mention, the game has permadeath, all right? If someone dies, they're gone for good. And so much like the first State of Decay, you may have someone who's like your trusted person who you've used the whole game, and they have expertise in medicine. All of a sudden they're dead. Now you have no one to have the expertise in medicine, and they were someone who had all the stats upgraded. Now they're gone, so now you just have weaker survivors to work with. It could really be a detriment. All right. So you got to be careful. You always got to have health with you when you go on these missions. You got to be very careful that you have a follower, which is very important. On a lot of these missions, you always want to recruit someone else from your base to come with you, so that God forbid something happens out of the ordinary, you have someone to back you up. It's much easier in this game to always have backup. So if you get cornered by zombies or someone springs a trap, they're there to help you out. If you go out on all alone, a lot of the times you're going to end up getting cornered and killed and lose a character. Okay. Now the only other thing that there is to do in the game, outside of everything I described, are called plague hearts, all right? There's an infection that is throughout certain buildings and certain zombies. And these zombies glow red, and they're a little bit tougher than the other zombies. If you get this infection on your body because you stand by these zombies or get hit by these zombies too much, you have to cure it. If you don't cure it within a certain amount of time, you turn into a zombie. And all you really need to do to cure it is have a medical base, or medical facility at your base, which you can craft. And you need to get plague samples from killing these plague-infested zombies, and you can create the cure, and it's fine. It's really not a big deal. But the game requires you, during the course of the game, to find plague hearts, which are these big pulsating red hearts, okay? While you attack these hearts, zombies constantly spawn around it and come to attack you. So it's kind of like a gauntlet challenge. And the goal here is to try to kill the heart as quickly as possible. The problem is you can't really do melee attacks on it because it covers itself with that plague cloud infesting you. So what you really need to do is get explosives. You have to either find them or craft them through various means in the game and chuck explosives at these plague hearts to try to blow them up. Once they're blown up, you get that building basically, and you can use it as an outpost if you want. And then you also get more of those samples so you can craft more of the cure. Outside of that, it gives you a lot of influence points as well, but there's really no point to it. It doesn't really give you any benefit to get rid of the plague hearts, but the game requires you to find and destroy 10 of them before you can complete the campaign of the game. Now, the problem is there's no accurate way to really find them besides just driving around the map wantonly, left and right, wasting gas, hoping you're finally going to run into one, or going up different viewpoints. There's like billboards, towers that you can go up and look around, and every once in a while you'll find one of the plague-infested hearts in a building as well. So in my playthrough, what did I do? I ended up being a warlord. I was killing people who I was running into, basically, not being very friendly. I was killing a bunch of zombies, micromanaging everything, and then at one point, I basically hit a wall where the story said, well, you can't do anything until you kill more plague hearts. 10 of them! And they take a long time to kill because you need explosives to blow them up, but you need the resources to craft the explosives. But when you're trying to get the resources to craft the explosives, you're running out of other resources, so you need to micromanage that and go get other resources. Once those resources are rejuvenated, then you can finally craft the explosives to go look for a plague heart, but then you need to have gas and repair your vehicles so you can go drive around looking for the plague hearts. When you finally find the plague hearts and you destroy one, now you've used all your explosives, so you have to go back and get more resources to make more explosives, but then you can't get those resources because you need to replenish the resources that were depleted while you were trying to do the plague hearts. Oh... Do you see what I'm getting at? The entire game of State of Decay 2 is a grind. And it's repetitive, and it's boring, and it's not very entertaining. Maybe every once in a while I found a rare gun that's really powerful. Great, and you'll enjoy that rare gun for 5 minutes until you run out of ammo, and now you have to micromanage to try to craft ammo. See what I mean? Like, the entire game just becomes this grind. Sadly, State of Decay 2 does not have the gripping narrative that State of Decay 1 had. State of Decay 1 had a definitive story that took you through set places and had you moving your different settlements throughout the game, and this does not exist. In State of Decay 2, it's just about survival of this one settlement you have, whatever the philosophy of your leader is, destroying plague hearts and finishing a set amount of leader missions, and the game ends. Actually, what ended up happening for me, it took a while. It took me like 4 or 5 hours to destroy all the plague hearts. Then it started giving me the warlord missions again. Oh, go kill the survivor group. So I did. Sometimes I had to go in and just sneak in and kill one. Sometimes the survivors were already being overrun by zombies, so I just had to kill the survivors and the zombies off. And then once I killed all the survivors, there was a final showdown against a group of people who didn't like me. It was very anticlimactic. I just pulled out an assault rifle and went boop, 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 blew all their heads off, and the game ended. And that's it. There's no definitive story ending. There's no benefit. There's no big rewards, to doing the game. It's literally grinding for the sake of grinding. Once you complete the game, you get a ton of achievement points, and then the game gives you the option to restart from the beginning and say, do you want to keep 3 of your survivors? Yes, of course, because your survivors have all these levels and whatever. And now you can start a new region. It randomly generates you into a new region to just start the whole process over again. So it's a never-ending loop of survival and micromanagement of resources. All right. So, if you like that kind of game, State of Decay 2 is your game. If you're looking for a game with a good narrative, you're not going to get it. If you're looking for a game with robust gameplay mechanics, you're not going to get it. If you're looking for a game that's better than State of Decay 1, you're not going to get it. In 5 years, they really added almost nothing whatsoever to the game. In fact, the only definitive improvements I can cite is that there was this weird gameplay mechanic in the first game that if you didn't play it for a certain amount of time, bad things would happen. Like, the morale went down because you weren't around, the leader wasn't around or whatever, stuff like that. That doesn't exist in State of Decay 2. They got rid of that. They don't punish you for not playing it. That's a good thing. But the story's missing. There's literally no narrative. So they took out a critical part of the game that made the first game interesting. Why on the holy hell they did that, I have absolutely no idea. It makes the game worse, in my opinion. The other big problem with State of Decay 2 is that there's a ton of bugs. Now, I've seen certain game reviewers say the game's unplayable. I disagree. The bugs that I ran into are as follows. In some invincible enemies, for some reason I couldn't kill certain zombies, they were invincible, but that was few and far between, not a big deal. The camera glitching. Like, I'd be in a vehicle driving, and I would drive off, the camera wouldn't follow the vehicle would drive off into the distance. But not a big deal. If you restart the game, it fixes itself. The major bug that I found that really pissed me off was that, number one, you're able to sometimes call in assists. Like, you call in someone, tell me where the next play card is because I can't find it. And you spend influence in order to have that happen. Or, I need to know where food is because I desperately need it. We're low on food. Sometimes it would glitch out and not work at all. If I restarted the game, then it would work again. But the biggest glitch was actually followers. Like I mentioned, you can go to your base and have someone follow you, so now you have someone to assist you in missions. It's very critical when you're doing the Plague Heart missions and other tough missions like that to always have someone with you to have your back. Well, sometimes the followers just glitch. And what I mean by that is they just disappear from the game. The game says you have a follower, but you don't have one. They're not there. They don't help you. If you go back to base and you try to get another follower, the game says, well, you can't get a follower because you already have one. Once again, just quickly saving the game, restarting it, fixes the issue. But what if you're in the middle of a critical mission, which happened to me? I was in the middle of a mission trying to destroy a Plague Heart. My follower disappeared. Now I have no backup, and my character actually perma-died because of this. Now, this is a character that I've been leveling the whole game and was very important and was gone, and it's not my fault. The game glitched out. Another thing that happened, when you die, your character becomes a zombie. Once you kill that zombie, okay, you can loot that character. So one of my characters had a big auto shotgun and a bunch of explosives on him when he died. I go to loot, the game glitches, I can't loot the body. It shows that there's items on him, but I'm never prompted to press a button to loot the body. Even restarting the game didn't fix this glitch. So the game is rife with glitches. Are they game breaking to the point where you want to rip your hair out of your head and just be frustrated? No, because usually a game restart fixes them, but they shouldn't be in the game. 5 fucking years in development, and this game is this rife with game bugs. That's pretty pathetic in my opinion. So, State of Decay 2, to go from start to finish, alright? From just starting the game your first run, learning the mechanics of the outpost, the survival, the crafting, recruiting people, getting someone promoted to a leader, getting more outposts, going out and destroying the Plague Hearts, doing all your leader missions, and finally finishing the story of the game that really isn't a story, will probably take you, depending on how well you do and what map you pick, because the maps are different. For example, I picked the Valley map, which is the hardest one. There's a river in between, and it's huge. It's very hard to do. There's another map, the Plateau, super easy. It's very small and confined. Everything's in reaching distance, much easier. I could see probably anywhere from 10 to 15 hours of gameplay to complete the main story. For me, it took just over, let's see, I played 3 sessions, and then today was my 4th, and I was about halfway through when I beat it. So probably 14 hours for me, but you definitely, if you picked a better map or one of the smaller maps, it probably would have been easier, all right, and definitely beaten a lot quicker. Then, if you do want to replay the game, all right, you just redo the whole thing from the start with your leftover survivors or whatever. I should say a few things. Number one, the game is chock full of achievements. I mean, just playing this game for the 15 hours or 14 hours I did, I ended up getting hundreds and hundreds of achievement points. Every hour, I would get like 3-4 achievements. Just bling, bling, bling. They hand it out like candy. Pretty crazy. Number two, the game does have online co-op. I did not play the co-op. So I cannot personally say, oh, it's good or bad. All I can tell you is what I've heard from people who told me during my own streams who tried it and other game reviews I've read, that basically the co-op is fun. It makes the game fun to co-op with your friends, but your friends are basically just drop in, drop out help. They don't actually get anything out of playing. So they don't advance their own story or their own characters. It's basically they're there to help you, and then when you're done, and they go back to their own game and they didn't get anything out of it. So is the game fun to play in co-op? Sure, but it's kind of disappointing if you're one of the people who joined the host game and you get nothing out of it. I mean, what was the point, right? In addition, I actually heard the games, when you play it in co-op, actually has way more bugs than just the ones I experienced during my campaign run. So already I was frustrated at the bugs. Now imagine you're getting double the amount of bugs when you're trying to play the game. You probably would want to rip your hair out, okay? So, in summary, State of Decay 2 is a functional game. State of Decay 2 is a game that you could sink a lot of time into with the resource management, the survival mechanic, the exploration and looting, the choosing a leader, outpost expansion, and then the fact that there's 3 separate maps to do all this in. You could probably upwards get 45 to 50 hours of gameplay out of the game before you see everything. The problem is, the journey is not very fun. It does feel like a grind at all times. You're going to get frustrated whenever you run out of a certain resource. And now, even though you wanted to do this thing, like destroy the plague hearts or do your leadership missions, now you got to waste time to go find that resource and micromanage a whiny survivor that's in your camp. It's just going to drive you nuts. It becomes more tedium than anything else. Now, all these mechanics were present in State of Decay 1, but State of Decay 1 had a gripping narrative story that kept you hooked during the campaign. So even though you were annoyed at certain things that maybe you couldn't just keep doing the story constantly, when you finally got back to it, you were relieved. This is cool. It was worth it. It was worth the grind because I got the story as a reward. In State of Decay 2, there's no reward. The game, grinding, is supposedly supposed to be its own reward, but it's never very fun. It does feel more or less like tedium and busy work. The game actually, it has gone a major step back from the original game 5 years ago. I mean, what on earth? How do you take 5 years to make a sequel to your game and do everything wrong? And they did. Like, this game is literally half as good as the first game. I just can't get it. 5 years and you don't know what people are looking for. Like, I'm just lost, right? So, all things considered, all right? All things considered, guys. The best score, the absolute best score, being generous, that I can give State of Decay 2 is a 5. 5 out of 10. That's the best I can do. Because it exists. Does it work? Yes. Are there bugs? Yes, but the bugs are easily fixable. But the game works and it's functional. Is the game fun? No. Does the game have a good story worth experiencing? No. Is the online play worth doing with co-op? No, because you get no progress. So, this game is literally a game that if it didn't exist, wouldn't have hurt anything. This game adds nothing to gaming whatsoever. Playing this game, you're probably not going to have fun. In my opinion, it's just a waste of time. It really is the ultimate time waster. If you're the kind of person, when you game, you just want to go completely mindless and not then just wait, this is your relaxation time, you'll probably like State of Decay 2. In fact, I'll recommend it this way. If you are a kind of person that you're going to do a live stream and you want to have a lot of time to interact with your viewership because you don't really give a shit about what's going on stream, one of those time waster games, that's exactly what State of Decay 2 is. Or if you are looking for zombie survival co-op, there hasn't been anything like that in quite some time, this is your game. If you're going to buy this game to play by yourself, you might as well just paint your wall and watch it dry. It's about just as much fun. It's less frustrating because your wall doesn't constantly nag you to tell you you're running out of resources or someone's annoyed at your base and you got to go pamper them so they won't fucking leave. Yeah, the game's not good. I'm sorry, but the most I could give it is a 5 out of 10. Even though I want to sit here and really rip the game a new asshole, it is functional. You know what I mean? And it's not a full-priced game. If this were a $60 game, I would be livid. But it's only $30, so maybe they knew, wow, we're only giving you half of what you look for in a great gameplay experience. So it's, so I give it a 5. You charge half, you deliver half, I give you half. 5 out of 10. That's my review for State of Decay 2. I can't recommend it. This is the second straight Microsoft Studios exclusive game that's a dud. And I don't know what Microsoft is doing. Who is giving these guys guidance making these Microsoft exclusive games? Because it's 2 straight. There's no reason to play them. And if you skip them, there's no missed experience whatsoever. You could just go do anything else and have more fun. I mean, I'm completely lost. I think they literally missed the core reason to make a game, to have fun. Not to have tedium or busy work, right? But to have fun. The game lacks fun. So what's the point in making the game to begin with? I don't know. Alright, guys. Thank you very much for watching my review of State of Decay 2. I hope you found it informative. I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye-bye. Cheerio. Peace.